want to start my lesson with a quote. And I'm actually going to ask you to just kind of close your eyes and experience it, because after the quote, I'm going to do a brief mindfulness practice. And the quote is by Henry Nouwen in his book, The Road to Daybreak. And he says, "When we honestly ask ourselves which person in our lives means the most to us, we often find it is those who brought us peace. The world is full of noise, but they brought us silence." Henry Nouwen. The people who mean the most to us are often those who bring us peace in a noisy world. Just think about that. Is that true for you? Let me ask some questions for you to consider. Feel for a moment the noise of the world that you stepped out of when you entered this sanctuary. Take a moment to recall the proverbial storm happening around you, around all of us. Most of us have a vibration of that noise echoing within us much of the time. There are headlines and posts and news articles clamoring for our attention and energy almost constantly. I'm sure you can relate to that buzz inside. Now the question is, who brings you peace in this noisy world? Who can calm your fears? Or how about this? Who can make you laugh so you reach for their posts or words or voice? Who are those people who bring peace to your mind by just conjuring them up in your thoughts? Who makes you calmer just by hearing their name? Just think about that and identify some of those people in your life. Do you have a long list or a short list? Who are those people? You know, maybe some of them are in this room. Maybe some are living with you. Maybe some are at work or old friends or those who share a life experience with you on a regular basis. Maybe some are far away physically, but you hold them close emotionally. Who are the ones that bring you peace? And as your list comes clear into focus, you're welcome to fill out the piece of paper, the handout titled The Ones, and I will give you a minute to jot down their names. Who are the ones that bring you peace? You know, the world is really noisy right now, so this list may come in handy for you. You know, as Susan alluded, I'm going to be traveling. I'll be gone for the next 3 weeks, and I don't know what will unfold in the bigger human experience, but I know for sure that in these 3 weeks' time, there will be noise. You know, there are going to be headlines that upset us. There's going to be decisions made near and far that we just won't understand. There are going to be questions that bother us inside. And so before I leave for these 3 weeks, I thought, what do I want to tell my community before I go? And I want to remind you to take care of each other spiritually. And I'm also going to remind myself. So where does God or Spirit come into this? Ernest Holmes says, I accept the closeness of my relationship with the presence, with a capital P, and all that this means. So the question is, do you, in your everyday existence, accept the closeness of your relationship with Spirit itself? And what does this close relationship mean in your life? There's this businessman and motivational speaker, his name is Jim Rohn, and he famously quoted this: "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Wow. If my 5 closest relationships are influencing my life, I don't know about you, but I want one of those 5 to be Spirit itself. And I want those 5 people to be as spiritually engaged as possible. But I realize that that means that I must somehow invest and choose those relationships. But first, look at your list a second time. Who do you spend the most time with? That's a completely different question than our first one about who brings you peace. So the question is, are the 5 people you spend the most time with on your the ones list? If any of your top 5 timesharers are on your list right now, circle them, put a star by them, right? But if your top 5 time influencers and timeshares aren't written down yet, maybe flip over the little piece of paper and write down the name of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You know, your spouse and your coworkers, your family members, your friends, even your neighbors, whoever they are, write them down. And then I invite you at some point to look at each name on that list and write down a word that does describe the way they feel to you. In other words, how do they impact you? Is their energy nervous or bubbly or frenzied or fearful or busy or just lovely? You know, whatever word you choose perfectly describes how their energy is coming into your life. It's just really important to know what people are bringing into your energy field. And I don't know about you, but I want that word. I want peace. I want it to be a major influence on my life. That is the energy I want the most, peace. Or maybe you have another God quality word that you like better, like joy or connection or harmony or love. Whatever your word is, peace is that word for me. And I think I went looking for spirituality so many years ago because I was hungry for more of those words to describe my life. So let's continue to look for those words in our daily lives. I encourage you to develop a practice of spending time with Spirit and invest enough that you can know that Spirit counts as one of your biggest influences in your life, either directly or through the human beings that you surround yourself with and that add energy to your life. So what we're trying to do is cultivate the feeling of God itself in our existence, the feeling of spiritual energy, that feeling of pure love. And the reason we want to cultivate more spiritual energy in our lives is because spiritual energy is what we use to change things. We use this energy to change circumstances, to change our experiences, to change our relationships for the better. Let me see if I can explain what I mean. You know, we talk a lot around here about affirmative prayer, about spiritual mind treatment. The purpose of a treatment is to change circumstances. We go through the process, you know, following the steps of the prayer to get to the place where we can feel that the prayer has already worked, that the circumstances have changed. When we believe it, we can feel it. When we believe and feel it, we can see it happen. And if we're trying to change things for the better, we're trying to move our feelings from a position of stress or fear or worry or lack or pain or confusion or overwhelm or whatever it is to a position of faith or belief or confidence or love or peace. And the more we have practiced resonating at that higher energy level, the more we're anchored in our relationship with spiritual energy, the easier it will be to get there in prayer. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? If we're moving our consciousness from fear to love, from doubt to faith, from worry to peace, we're literally changing our consciousness toward a deeper awareness of our oneness with the all. We're shifting our energy vibration. And the more we can surround ourselves with people who understand that need for a higher energy vibration, the easier it becomes. Making sure that our immediate circle is continuing to be positive in their impact is really important. Because what I believe is that prayer and meditation changes our individual consciousness. And when we change our individual consciousness, we have a positive impact on the collective consciousness as well. The only thing that can change our circumstances is a change in consciousness. Or another way of saying it is that we change our circumstances when we change how we think and feel about our circumstances. We change our energy around those circumstances, and the circumstances change. Simple, but not so simple, right? Ernest Holmes, in his book Love and Law, said, a treatment, a prayer, is the process of convincing yourself of the truth of what you say. It is nothing else. When you are self-convinced, then you have set forth into mind the power that does everything. So if we spent time in prayer and spiritual mind treatment and convinced ourselves of a new truth we have set forth into law, what happens next? Chances are we're going to go spend some time with those 5 people. And one or more of those people on our little piece of paper are going to influence that very mindset that we just changed. And I think that is the power behind this idea that the people around us are impacting who we are. The people around us are influencing our consciousness with their own. Think about that. We have this, kind of new outlook of our situation, this new shift in consciousness, a new awareness, and it's helpful if the people around us can know that new idea with us. If the people around us are struggling and headed in a direction of more struggle, we're probably struggling too. If the people around us are healthy and strong, we're being influenced by that as well. If they're worrying, we are surrounded with worry. The bottom line is, it is kind of hard to change for the better if the people around us are still sitting in the same energy that got us where we were in the first place. So if we want to change our lives and we want the people we love to have transformation in their lives, let us lean into that omnipotent spiritual energy. Let us bring the power of prayer, meditation, and communion with God into the circle of our influence. How do we do that? Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist Vietnamese monk, pointed out that, quote, when Buddhist or Christian monks and nuns pray, they kneel down, they join their palms and bow their heads. It is essential for prayer that body, speech, and mind are one and are all truly present. It is not enough to pray with words. Effective prayer also takes mental and physical concentration. He says, body, mind, and speech are one and truly present. While I don't really think it's completely necessary to kneel and clasp hands and bow for an effective prayer, I do agree that a relationship is more powerful when we are fully present in the moment. That's true in our relationships, isn't it? Like, if you look at your list of people, you probably feel closer to those people when you are able to be truly present with them, and they're able to be truly present with you. We have our best connections with others when we get to be in the same physical space with them and talk one-on-one with them and stay focused on them. If you don't believe me, the minute someone picks up a phone that's buzzing and looks at a text, that connection's broken, isn't it? We feel more connected when there is that fully present other with us. When I want to share energy with someone, I'll often touch their arm or their shoulder or their hand and look them in the eye to remove all distractions and say whatever it is that I want to say, or even just hold their gaze for a second. I try to be fully present, especially if I want to have an impact on them. I think prayer is the same way. We're working with spiritual energy in both situations. When we send the energy of love and compassion to another person, it doesn't matter if they know that we are sending it. The important thing is that the energy is there and the heart of love is there, and it is being sent out into the world. When love and compassion are present in us and we send them outward, that is truly prayer. And sending love outward, we may notice a change in our own heart. That prayer has begun to have a result inside us first. And when I say sending energy to someone, while I know that we don't really actually send energy anywhere, I do know that there's something powerful about holding someone or even the world in the feeling of intentional love or intentional wholeness as a form of prayer. It's powerful for others, but it is also powerful for ourselves as the one doing that praying. While we may be intending something good for someone else, we're actually creating more and more good inside ourselves. And Ernest Holmes, remember back to that quote, he said, I accept the closeness of my relationship with the presence and all that this means. My closeness with the presence means that I spend greater time cultivating my relationship with my highest self. It means that as I pray for others, I'm working on my own consciousness and my awareness of the love that I am, the peace that is available in all things. This relationship means that I'm constantly working with spiritual law to align myself to a greater wholeness. But it also means that I'm influencing the consciousness of others in a positive way. I have a greater likelihood of being the one who brings peace to others. Look again at your list of 5. Guess what? You're likely going to be on their list of 5 people too. The more you lean into your relationship with Spirit, the more positive your influence will be in their lives. Follow Thich Nhat Hanh's example and send them your energy. Know for them compassion, love, and peace. Be the one. Bring your relationship with Spirit into your relationship with everyone you influence. And know with confidence that as you deepen your connection with the presence, it will mean beautiful things for you personally and for at least 5 other people. Meaning, do whatever you can do to be the one. According to Henry Nguyen, that means be the one who brings peace to whatever situation you find yourself in. Be the one who is reliably encouraging. Be the one who seeks a higher perspective. Be the one who reassures others that they are never alone. Spirit is with them always, and you are with them always in prayer. Be the one who offers to go for a walk or a cup of coffee or meet for another follow-up conversation. Be the one. How many lists in this room do you think holds your name? Do your spiritual family members know that you can be the one? Can you be the one? And if you don't think your name appears on anyone's list of the ones, then I invite you to make that your spiritual quest. Part of the spiritual journey is to learn enough about your soul so that you can self-identify with it enough so that you can let it shine through you into the world around you. So much so that you are the person bringing peace into the room or generating the energy of good wherever you go. But it takes practice, doesn't it? Because right now, it feels like the best thing you can do is march and resist and object and be angry and find fault and carry signs. And I will agree that all of those things are good things to do. Make your human voice be heard. But I'm also saying, asking you to let your spiritual voice be heard. And what spiritual voice does is speak peace. That spiritual self brings eternal poise and silence wherever it goes. That voice does not judge. That voice speaks compassion. That voice votes and joins their energy with others as they plant seeds of positive possibilities and seeds of change. That voice is a voice of love. I invite you to remember that. Anger, judgment, resentment, and superiority are all messengers of fear. If you're in the book study, you know that. We read about them. And the universal power responds with love, not more fear. Step into love and see a brighter future for every moment you can. Be the one. To be the one, you practice inner peace and bring that peaceful energy wherever you go. And if you can't be the one, find the one. You have a list of them in your hands. You know, Ruth and I just had a real life experience of being the one with each other. Last Sunday, she was a little jangled. That's the word I'm going to use, Ruth. A little jangled by the wider world. And through a really relatively brief exchange, I was able to pierce through that and remind her of peace, remind her of her greater inner power. And she shared that last Sunday in Q&A, if you happen to be in Q&A. But what was really awesome was that when I was feeling discouraged and jangly myself on Tuesday morning, I received an uplifting email from Ruth, who was saying that she had brought peace to one of her students very similarly to what happened between her and I on Sunday morning. She ended up being the one for that student and being the one for me when I had been the one for her. Be the one. I'm going to close with a poem called Sustenance, because when you are the one, you provide sustenance. And this is what it says. sustenance. And sometimes that's all we need. A hand to hold, an arm to cling to, a cheek to kiss, someone to laugh with, cry with, share silence with, body to body, heart to heart, soul to soul, someone to sustain us, a companion, someone to miss, someone that doesn't even need to say, I've got you and I get you, because you already know. And that is priceless. Sustenance, a precious gift bestowed. Will you join me in prayer? What I know this morning is that love is present here. Sustenance is present here. We are a room full of the ones. We have within us that inner joy, that inner light, that inner peace, that inner God self that is always present. And I know that as we awaken to that reality, and that is our identity, we are powerful forces in the world, a force of peace, a force of love, a force of light, and a source for that as well. And so I know in these next 3 weeks in my absence that this spiritual community is strong. They provide that sustenance for each other, and that love is always present. I let it go and I let it be, and so it is.